The Hamm HD110 roller is a machine in the 10-ton weight class, and WSI have modelled it in two versions. Model 1031 has an enclosed cab, and Model 1032 is an open version with a rollover protection structure. Both models come in pretty well identical boxes, with just a small marking as to whether it's the cab or ROPS version. There's a little bit of detail about the real machine on the outside of the box, but there's nothing about the model. Inside, the model's nicely wrapped. It's got a bit of polythene around it, and it just sits in the polystyrene trays. And there's no assembly to do on either of the versions, as they are complete out of the box. WSI has a reputation for high detail, and these Hamm rollers don't disappoint. Looking close up, the lacquered bolt heads are represented with gold paint. There's cabling to the drums, and there's some very, very small graphics which are quite legible. This continues under the cab with more excellent graphics and a tiny handle for undoing the panel to the engine. On the front and rear of the cab version is this really terrific detail of the mesh covers on the lights. Very, very fine mesh, and it's really an exceptional detail. These mesh covers aren't on the ROPS version of the model. To provide water for sprinkling on the roller drums, there are a couple of water tanks at the front and rear. They've got a nice matte finish with filler caps on top, and on the side there's more good graphics and a fuel filler nozzle. The quality of the enclosed cab is great, with very fine grab rails all round, and the windows have nice replica seals. The interior of both versions is the same, with a finely modelled seat and various controls. And tiny graphics have been applied to represent the console and even the first aid box. Well, the detailing doesn't disappoint, so let's have a look at the features. The drums turn smoothly, even though the scrapers are a good close fit to the drums. And you can steer the model by just moving it across the pivot point like that, and you get an angle of maybe a bit over 30 degrees, which is quite reasonable. But the mechanism's also got a good feature, which is you can offset the two drums by carefully arranging it so that you get a wider compaction area, and it's been implemented well on the model. The engine sits underneath the cab, and it can be accessed by a couple of opening doors, and when you do open them you can see that there's a nicely detailed engine, and the doors have got a nice little mechanism which allows them to click shut and stay shut. And on the other side, again, the door opens and there's some different engine detail to see, all done very well indeed. The cab version of the model has the feature of opening cab doors, and they open on both sides of the model. The hinge mechanism is a little bit overscale compared to the real machine, but given that we're working in 1:50 scale, a good job's been done in producing realistic looking doors, and they open very widely, in fact 180 degrees if you want. The last feature is present on both versions of the model, so we'll look at it on the ROPS version because it's easier to see, and that's the movable operator seat, which can move laterally from one side to the other so you can get a better view, and it also rotates pretty much in 90 degrees in either direction, and this has been implemented well on the models too. These Hamm rollers are another excellent addition to the WSI range of construction models. The detailing is generally excellent, with a great use of graphics to add realism to the look of the models. The features are implemented really well and add to the ability to pose the models in different ways. All of these things are offered at a pricing level which is really very good, and that makes these models outstanding.